Hey, you look like a fighter without a cause. Am I reading you right?
You a dead sick or something? If you are, then I've got something for you.
Hello everyone, I recently got to play 3.5 to 4 hours-ish of Watch Dogs Legion. Brandon got to play it not that long ago. Huber, you played it at E3 like a long time ago, right?
2019?
Yeah,
I guess, yeah, it's over a year ago.
but you played Watch Dogs 1 and 2, which,
Yeah.
like for me, I hadn't played it since that E3 either, and so I was nervous going into this because the one is like they start you like I don't know, a couple hours into the game, so you're past all the tutorials, so it's like I'm just gonna jump into this game with a bunch of gadgets and recruiting characters and all this. And Huber, it's like riding a bike. Like you go
Nice,
5
nice.
minutes and like you already know, like, okay, this is Watch Dogs. Like I get the camera there, get the spider bot over here, get the drones.
Yeah, because there's a lot of tools and stuff, Bloodworth. So you weren't overwhelmed. That speaks a lot to the design of the game.
Yeah, well, at least I was able to go to things I was already familiar with, right? For the most part. Yeah, we started out. They take you to your base, so that you walk through a pub, and then your base is through like a secret door.
Love that. Speakeasy
that.
vibes.
Yeah, and it's like an old subway station or something along those lines, and you get your mission briefing there. So there's kind of like two characters there. So the setup is that the DedSec was framed by some other like mysterious hacker and essentially dismantled. So that's where the recruitment aspect comes in. It's like you're rebuilding DedSec. And so there's this woman named Sabine, and then there's this AI named Bagley, who are the main like voices in your ear the whole time that you're playing.
I didn't know Bagley was an AI. I thought Bagley was
Whoa.
just a dude. That's funny. I've never met him. Yeah, it was like,
Right.
it was strange that I never bumped into that NPC in the world. That's funny.
Skynet, dude, watch out.
Yeah, but all of this washed right over me, Blood. I didn't pick up on a
Yeah.
lot of this stuff going on, specifically where it stands in the story. So this is cool to get the two of yours.
Well, they had like a little briefing video before we started because we're skipping the beginning. So
Which is the significance of it. Again.
yeah.
I'm like, was DedSec for what condition was it at the end of Watch Dogs 2? I don't
Yeah,
know. So.
and it's probably just like DedSec in London specifically, right? Because this is all events and bombings and stuff happening in London. I don't know what their status might be around the world. That's kind of a funny thing. It's like the world that we know it is like very connected, people all over the place, but the world in Watch Dogs seems to be city by city. You don't talk to anyone else outside of those cities, really.
That is funny.
So I did want to get a little recruitment in, so I did a recruitment mission that was, I think, had already been, like, somebody that had been identified on the save file before I started. So this guy named Oscar, and he wanted to get payback, Huber.
Oh, heck yeah.
So to recruit him, I had to go steal somebody's supercar and then drive it into the river.
Yes.
Nice.
And then I had Oscar on my team.
Did you jump out of the moving car as it's like flying into
Yeah.
Nice.
I didn't do a great job. I think I was still like in the water.
That's a very Trevor thing to do.
Totally.
I appreciate that.
I love botching it, Jones, in like GTA when you're jumping out of the car and you like jump into a wall or something. Your body's just like blah.
I should probably talk about some of the other ones that I got too, just off the top.
But that didn't really take long, which I remember and liked
Yeah,
from
it didn't.
what I played. That those were different enough, and I'm not an idiot. Like I'm sure that scenario could have applied to like any one character. They'd take like face and job and scenario and just kind of jumble them together. But if I've never experienced that level before, then however it works out in my game, I enjoyed those. I thought those were fun and different enough.
Yeah. So there was another person that I found named Karen, and so like around some of these bombing sites and things, there are just kind of like these like memorials, like these shrines set up to where like all the people died, and so people come and like visit the photos and flowers and things like that. And so she was outside of one of these bombing sites, and I walked up to her, and her scenario was like, I lost my job. And it doesn't make sense. I don't know why. And so you go investigate why she lost her job. And that ended up being like a 2-part mission. So first I went to like the old job site and like hacked into the cameras and did the one of the things I loved about the first Watch Dogs is like actually being able to complete a mission without ever going inside. So like hack the cameras, download the data, like, okay, here's what's going on. They're developing this AI that is basically going to take a bunch of people's jobs. And so then I went to another location that was like guarded by a bunch of like these Albion guards, and it was like a warehouse, and I was like trying to slip my way in, and I was using the spider bot and stuff in there, and sort of inching my way forward, but to actually like deal with the blueprints, they were in like this case. You had to go up to them physically. So like, all right, I'm not gonna like try to take everybody out. I'm just gonna try to sneak by. But I walked through. They have like these alarm panels. They're almost like walking through like a metal detector, and that set everybody off. So I'm like, oh crap! So I like just pulled out a shotgun, shot the blueprints, and then hightailed it out of there.
Nice. Completing a botch job always feels good. How is the stealth? Did you like accidentally go through the metal detector? Were you unsure that it was going to set everyone off?
I wasn't entirely sure what that thing was going to do. Like it was clearly like a big red wall, right?
Yeah, yeah.
I was like, what's going to happen? So.
Well, a lot of the stealth stuff, Hubert, didn't really click with me when I played Watch Dogs 2 and when I demoed this. And so those are just kind of just harsh reminders. You know, it's like when stuff like that goes wrong. That's why like the checkpoints I remember being kind of generous. And the game is definitely playful and really wants you to enjoy like the adventure of it. And so like I don't remember the pace kind of slowing down too much for me to be like, that's what that thing does. Or, I can hack that. And that's because there's some like, things that would get in my way that I'm like, what am I supposed to do about this? Oh, right. I can hack stuff,
Yeah. You got tools.
Yeah.
And then there's another thing interesting towards the end with the recruitment. So one of the things that you can do is when you identify somebody, if you don't want to like go through recruitment mission right away, you can just like save them for later. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if this is intentional or how this system might work, but I had come across this guy that was like in Parliament. I saved him for later because he seemed like, this would be someone influential. He has a big SUV, seemed, like a cool guy. And then after I did some other missions, Bagley's just like, hey, you got a call. The guy wants to join the team. And like, so I didn't have to do his mission. He was just in.
What the?
And then I had the same thing happen a little bit later with two people that I had saved. They had called me up and joined right up. So it's interesting that kind of thing can happen.
I wonder if some people it's like a status thing. It's like you got to get to a certain level or you have to complete a certain part of the story before you can even begin to bring in, like I imagine, I would hope at the end of this campaign you can get like bad guys, like you can finally like go over to the enemy and recruit people from that are higher ups, kind of like like well-known story people. It's like, well, you can like kill this person now, or you can bring them on if you want to play as them.
Jones, it's awesome.
It was fun when I would tag people because like you'd like walk by them later and be like, oh, I'm in the middle of a mission, but it's cool that they're just there. Again, like Trevor bumping into Michael. It's like, oh yeah, like they're in the world, they're walking around.
Yeah, I wondered, Blood, if the trade-off is like people will join you over time, but if you want someone immediately, you can do the recruitment mission then or something.
Yeah, and at some point, I think you're like your crew is gonna fill up or something. So I'm not sure what happens when you get to those limits, and like
maybe you can spend resources. Some people you just give money and they sign up. Like
the other thing that was interesting is there were a couple of times when I was just driving around that Bagley was like, "Hey, I found a great potential recruit for you over here," and so like identifying specific people on the map that you can go drive over. It's like one of them was like a shooting instructor. So again, I think it's just ways of making that less intimidating to where you're not. It's like I have to search for hundreds of people to find this right skill or whatever, because some of that stuff can be kind of random. Like I walked by one person that they said was an artist, and she had like a paintball gun as a special perk. I'm like, oh, that looks cool. I'll save that for later.
Well, I think just the process too would kind of reveal the mechanical, like not human nature of it. If all you had to do was just walk around and like another person and another person, like these are just stats. They're just like a list for you. Like if they're organically kind of popping up in the story, if in instances you kind of bump into them. So and I think that kind of like the first time we heard about this, it was just we could recruit anybody. And then like when I played it, like the big difference that I learned is like, yes, but you're definitely going to, at some point, the story is going to present someone to you that's just going to kind of fall into your lap, and you're going to be like, I have to recruit this person. Like, yeah, I can have my own style, but like I would be an idiot if I didn't like right now at this moment bring this person on.
The whole thing with open world games and Assassin's Creed and stuff where you have like the world split up into these different districts. So Watch Dogs Legion also has these districts where people are basically, there's like an uprising meter that you fill up, and so by doing different objectives,
we lost Huber. Oh no.
Like
I take it
people
Watch Dogs 1 and 2 didn't have this.
No, this just sounds like Mafia 3 all over again. Like I don't like dismantling districts in open worlds. It feels so
Love it.
checklisty. It feels so artificial. It feels so objective driven rather than like plot story characters like in there. It's just like it just feels like a task oriented, which I don't like that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, to be fair, it is kind of like that. But essentially, so what you do is, there's like certain tasks that you can do that will raise the meter. And the only time I came across this, it was pretty simple. So I was doing a story mission, and there was this person handcuffed in this, and I snuck in there and I handcuffed them, and I like filled up half the meter for that district. And then once the meter is full, then there's like a special extra mission that's available that's, I would sort of say, feels sort of like the tombs in Assassin's Creed, the older Assassin's Creeds.
So fun.
So then I went up to this woman who was a contact in Parliament, and she was like, we've got to, restore the bells in the clock tower, Big Ben and all that. And so then you have to sneak into the Parliament grounds, and then you take a spider bot up through the whole clock tower and all the mechanisms, and it's like just this platforming game of going across gears and all that, and getting your way all the way to the top. And then when you get to the top, then you reactivate the bells, then you also like replace whatever Albion propaganda with DedSec propaganda, and then that makes the whole region like more receptive to you. And it also gives you it puts all the tech points on the map. Tech points are like your collectibles. So basically like if you go up on, when you're like using the forklifts and stuff to go on the rooftops, to get that, and then the tech points you actually use to basically boost all your different gadgets and your hacking abilities and stuff. So like at first, like there's certain like big riot drones that you can't hack, but if you'd invest tech points, then you can disable them. If you invest more, then you can like have them betray, and attack others on their side. And if you do more, then you can actually, control them directly. And then like all of your other like spider bots and shock mines and all that can be upgraded with tech points. So you get all those on the map when you open up a district. And then
I'm hoping to just get obscenely powerful in this game. I want to just be ridiculous.
They're just like all over the place. Yeah, I would.
How many districts were there, Bloodworth?
I don't know. I would say like maybe like a dozen.
Okay. Yeah.
Just off the top of my head.
I'm just getting worried with all if you like. I like that there's. It sounds like there's a really cool mission at the end of that, right? Like freeing the district, getting a really cool mission at the end that feels special. But I'm just worried over the course of 20, 30, 40 hours, like doing those menial tasks on every single district just gets exhausting.
Yeah,
so
I think it depends on how many of those tasks that you have to do. Like with me, it's like I only did one, but is it because it's the first one or whatever? So but then the other thing that you unlock after you've done that mission is you unlock a special recruit character. So I got this retired spy. They said Spy Plus. And she had a silenced pistol, and she was wearing a skirt the whole time. And
no one lives forever, dude. Let's go.
This shock watch, which honestly I'm not sure about. Like I couldn't like find a way to like work that to my advantage. It's like it was described as like you just like knock somebody's lights out with one hit. But if I went up and like tried to punch somebody, it was like I was just doing normal punches, and it's like I have to hit the right bumper or whatever. But that just kind of like I don't know how to aim it. I'd have to practice with that thing. But for me, it was just like I would rather just do a normal takedown than mess around with the shock watch thing.
I got the vibe from the people that I recruited that like some of them are kind of pseudo hard mode. Like there's some people that it's like this is a bad person to bring on that mission, but you might want to go do that. You might want to be like, I kind of want to bring in someone that's just not fit and see if I can hustle my way out of it, or recruit someone that has no special abilities at all, just some regular dude.
And then the best part was she has a spy car, so
Hell yeah.
Oh, fun.
you can shoot missiles, you can cloak. Actually, I was trying to figure out the controls for the missiles, and like I accidentally like blew up the car that was parked in front of me as soon as I got in the car. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna cloak and get out of here.
That sounds really fun.
But it was great because I was on a mission with her later, where I was trying to be stealthy, and I kind of got. I think I might have been messing around with that watch again or something. I got caught, and I was like, all right, well, time for the silenced pistol, and like I take this guy out, and she's like, I'm in no mood.
Jeez,
Just
enforcer.
like experienced cold-blooded
Yeah.
killer.
She sounds great. Gotta track her down.
But yeah, so in terms of story missions, the first one I did was examining like one of the main bombing sites. And so that one I did like pretty much all Spider-Bot, didn't alert anybody. The Spider-Bot can crawl up behind people and shock them to knock them out. And then I was going into like the crater and then like the basement and like finding the evidence for like, okay, where did this bomb come from? And then it does this whole like AR recreation of like the people that walk through there and all that kind of thing. And then after that was the one I was telling you about with the prison, the New Scotland Yard. And so then you basically use there's like a spider bot that was down there, that there's like a piece of it. And so they like, use trace evidence of that to link it back to find this other one that was in this lab at New Scotland Yard. And there you like hack into it and you recover it basically by controlling it. But it's all beat up. So like you have to do like all of these like platforming challenges and going through these vents and stuff, but it's like all slow.
What does the game feel new to
a pain
you?
to get out there.
Does Watch Dogs Legion feel like
and then
new and exciting?
I think that's the thing is like it does feel familiar so far. Like it feels like I'm doing Spider-Bot stuff, I'm doing drone stuff. You know how they have like the hacking puzzles? That it was kind of cool when they like put them around the room, and like now there's one where you're doing a hacking puzzle that's like you had to like go around like multiple floors with
some of those are so intense,
to find all the little switches and stuff and figure out how to open it up and then get into this laptop.
So I know it feels like familiar to Watch Dogs, but do you get the feeling that it's the end of a generation type game? Like we've been building up to this moment, this is a huge franchise, huge company, open world. Do you think they're playing it safe, or do you think this feels like kind of pushing the genre or the franchise forward? I know it's kind of a ambiguous question, but just
I think obviously the hook is with the recruitment, and so otherwise I feel like what I've played so far really does play a lot like Watch Dogs 2. Like it isn't that big of a leap on it. It's just depending on who you have with you. So like I had a couple of people with Spider-Bots, so I was leaning on Spider-Bots a lot. But then I got into this mission a little bit later, and this guy, his gadget was shock mines. And so I had to be more direct. I had to go actually into these places, but then, I could toss a shock mine and knock some guys out, or use a trap to knock some guys out. And so it's just like different little elements to what strategies you're going to take into each place.
That's fun. Like way more ways to go about solving a problem. I like that.
It definitely felt like something where, because I was learning the ropes a lot, like with the mechanics when I was playing 2 and 3, and it seemed like something where I was like, oh, I will definitely lean on something hard if I find some kind of easy solution to a common problem like in the game, and that doesn't dissuade me. I think that's great. It's like if I find the thing that works, it's like then that's the character I'll always bring in that instance, or that's the ability I'll lean on, because there's a lot of options. There's so much stuff I skipped. Like you asked me so many questions after I played Legion, and like they had the trailer where the guy was using all these weapons. And I'm like, damn, I didn't like you mentioned the stuff with the car. I'm like, didn't fire a rocket, didn't stealth it, didn't do any of that stuff.
Yeah, I think that's the question, is like how many options are we going to get? Also, one thing
that's exciting.
I did feel like the characters that I had recruited, and I only recruited like 6 or 7 people, right? I did feel like they all had distinct voices and personality from each other, which I appreciate. I don't know how long they can stretch that out until I hear the same voice again. But like I said, with the way the spy talked, with the way Karen talked, the voices felt like they fit the character, even if like the modeling and the facial animation wasn't at the same level that you would expect from something like, you know, like an Uncharted or a God of War. The other thing I think you might like is some of these other characters that you come across, Huber. So with Albion taking over, it seems like the cops are just kind of almost running as like vigilantes. And so we found like this cop's hideout, and she was like still running like one of her old cases and trying to track down, you know, this Kelly gang. They're like the mafia of London right now, working potentially alongside Albion, which I don't know if they've officially revealed yet, but it just feels like all this stuff is connected some way or another, right?
Yeah. Dude, I'm ready to crack this case.
So yeah, so you come across this cop, and you know she joins up alongside of you, and she sends you on a mission to go and check out what Bloody Mary's got going on. And when you meet her, like there's this whole thing with like freaking they're like harvesting bodies for organs and stuff. It's like pretty crazy stuff. You get into Bloody Mary's place, and she's microchipped everybody and using slave labor, and so yeah, I think even though like you don't have like that central main character, there just seem to be interesting characters surrounding you.
That's good.
And,
Yeah, it's gonna.
And the people you recruit do have personality to them when you're walking around.
That's good. Yeah, I've talked with Jones about that in the past. Just my biggest fear is by not having a main character, it'll be harder to get attached to the story. But if all the other stuff around the main character is better for it, then
my fear now, Huber, is that the story, you know, even though the story will be interesting, like they capped it at some point because they were like, that we need to focus on the biggest success we've had from talking to our fans is that they were like, you know, the beekeeper lady's crazy. So they're like, we need more crazy. We need as many different weird options as we possibly can. And so I wonder if, like, when you actually get into the campaign, it's like, oh, that was kind of brief. But, you know, like now that I'm in Endgame, I can, you know, maybe go recruit more people or goof, you know.
Yeah. And the one thing I didn't get to see either, which has been talked about a lot, is I didn't really get to do any of those, like, kind of Hitman style incognito by recruiting, like, a construction worker to go on a construction site or anything. Because you can see on the map, like, what kind of person you might need to go into a place. But every time I looked, it was just, like, Albion guards. And I'm like, that's going to be some job. Like, I'm not going to try to do that in a 3-hour preview session.
Yeah.
To recruit a guard. So that's one thing I'm looking forward to is that. And then, again, to see just, again, how much of variety there is overall. But not,
Did you like the open world, Blood? Did it feel cool?
Yeah, it feels cool going around London. There's this area that I went to near the end where it was almost like Melrose or Universal City Walk or something, where there's like just like all these big like installations on the side of the businesses, like this giant red skull and stuff. You know, and I'm sure people that know London probably would recognize spots like that. But you know, it does feel like they're just distinct parts of the city to check out.
Nice.
But yeah, so that's about it for me. I'm not blown away by it like I originally thought when we first heard of the idea. But I enjoy both of the previous Watch Dogs games. I like that style of gameplay that they have going on, and I feel like there's been enough of interesting things to do both in the story missions and the recruitment missions, and I think it really is just a matter of seeing how much that spreads out. How well does that spread out before it starts to feel like you're repeating things?
I just think we've seen this game for so long now. So many previews, so many trailers, so many events it's been at. It's just kind of fatiguing. You know, I'm just...
it's time to play the whole thing.
I've asked all my questions, I feel like, for months, and it's
we're done.
Let's just...
There's no more previews of this game
from
us. Hubert, the sentiment will be... You know, the building this cast, focusing on these characters, like it's super unique getting that perspective on a community, on an open world, but it doesn't narratively exceed the highs of like 2, it sounds like, you know, like those characters in that cast that you really got, you know, draft a tweet. That's going to be it. You know, it just seems like that it's going to be doing stuff that, you know, the franchise and not a lot of games have done before, but at the cost of really like connecting to someone specific. But narratively, it's going to be interesting. How long? Yeah. Just like any open world game, it's like, all right, I gotta play this game for how long?
How many districts I gotta take over?
The districts I'm cool with, but like certain things, like once those tech points open up, I'm like, yeah, I'm not getting all those tech points.
How many tech points were there on the map when you freed the district?
It just looked like they were everywhere.
Everywhere.
Oh my gosh.
But I'm gonna enjoy it. I don't know Brandon's gonna enjoy it. And
I get excited. I see checkpoints. I get chills. I see
percentage meters.
Empty
you're
boxes
like, yes.
to check. Ooh.
Just a few weeks away. Yeah. So we'll see you then.
Thanks, bud.
I'm excited to see what you're capable of. Very excited.
Thanks. I'm ready to bring real justice where it's needed.
Lovely.